are quietly helping the US in Iran. Spain is the exception, but the UK, Italy, Germany, Portugal, and even France are doing their parts. Unquote. It also goes on to detail the kind of support that these countries are giving the United States. Is this already a much bigger conflict than it's made out to be?
Yes, it is. And it has the danger of expanding even further. But I think that the real weight of the real significance of NATO's participation in this conflict is the message it sends, the conceptual sort of fallout of this, which is that the Ukrainians are asking for security guarantees from this organization, and especially from the United States. This is something that President Zelensky keeps emphasizing over and over again. But if you look at the worth of these security guarantees to the Gulf monarchies that actually had American bases on their territories, well, you notice immediately that the association, the military security association with the U.S. has actually turned into a liability for these nations who were not consulted during the run-up to the American and Israeli attacks on Iran and are now paying the price. And I'm sure that there are forward-looking, wise, and cynical and rational people in Ukraine who may be asking themselves the question of what price American or NATO security guarantees are to Ukraine if their value has proven so little in the Gulf in the current conflict with Iran.
Given all that you've said there, Anton, do you see any scenario in which Russia and Ukraine may actually reconsider this conflict, may try to come to some kind of agreement, end it? I mean, it looks like a frozen conflict right now, but could that happen?
Well, it's more than a frozen conflict. The Russians are very slowly but moving forward on the battle lines, and we know that, by the way, from the exchanges of the bodies of the killed. The last one that took place about a month ago, the Russians returned 1,000 bodies to Ukraine, and the Ukrainians returned 35 to the Russians. But it is a very slowly unfolding conflict, and unfortunately for both sides, I simply don't see any of the conditions for an agreement between the two of them yet.
Anton Fulyashin, thanks, as always, for being with us.
Heat is in proportion to the want of true knowledge. This is heat.
For more now, joining me from Kyiv is Peter's.
Yes, so if Ukraine plays its cards right, it may not be all bad.
Now, Peter, those visits that President Zelensky has been making to these Middle Eastern capitals, he visits Syria, as you pointed out. He's also signed cooperation agreements, military cooperation agreements with Saudi Arabia and Qatar. These are allies of the United States. And I'm wondering about the optics of something like that, what it would look like for Ukraine to be seen to be signing agreements with a group, an alliance, that is waged against Iran. I mean, there is the optics of it, isn't there?
Well, I mean, the optics are such that you can just never predict Donald Trump. Actually, Donald Trump has been publicly kind of unappreciative of Ukraine's contribution to America's war effort in providing consultations, etc. He continues to claim that America can go along, and then he, of course, turns around and contradicts himself. And once again, I think the fact that Saudi Arabia is engaging with Ukraine directly without Washington in the loop, I think it tells you a lot about how we have a feeling about the security of the America-led world order. Very shaky.
Dimitri, great to have you with us. Dimitri, before we get to how Russia is viewing this conflict in the Persian Gulf, let's talk about President Zelensky's visits to these Middle Eastern capitals. How would they be seen in Moscow right now?
Well, they're seen very negatively, these visits, and it's not just, the fact that Mr. Zelensky is extremely unpopular in Russia. I think we should take a wider look at it. I mean, what we need in today's world is more adults in the room. I mean, when President Trump writes, and I read it just today on his on his social networks, a whole civilization will die tonight. This is not something that we would expect a responsible politician to write, so much less the President of the United States. And Vladimir Putin, he has his defects. I think he made mistakes during his tenure, but he's certainly more responsible than President Trump or, I have to say, President Zelensky. Look, at the moment when the world is facing huge energy crisis, Ukrainian drones are attacking Russian tankers in the open seas. Ukrainian drones getting through, most likely getting through their territories, the airspace of Baltic states, are taking Russian oil ports on the Baltic Sea, again aggravating the energy situation in the world. We need
more aggression, and we can go to the roots of this and say how that the Russians violated these philosophy of warfare by hitting and targeting Ukrainian civilian areas, and Ukraine followed suit with that strategy. But secondary thing is Donald Trump once again. He went into this war without considering all the consequences, all the potential scenarios of this, and now yes, we are against a very strange situation where Zelensky made a decision essentially to take matters in his own hands. In the climate of renewed, flowing of Russian oil after the Trump administration decided to lift the sanctions, the Ukrainians decided to cut into the Russian profits, to reduce them by some accounts by 50% back to these strikes. That has pushed up the price of oil, and that has kind of thwarted Donald Trump's strategy. It is understandable from the standpoint of how Ukraine has to wage this war asymmetrically, but on the other hand, it is a risky game because it might anger Donald Trump, who's already hinting that he may stop weapons deliveries to Ukraine altogether, even if Europe continues to pay for them.
Okay, here's all I have, Dmitry Babich. Thanks to both of you for being with us. And that is it for this edition of The Heat. I'm abnd in Washington.
Programs from CGTN Radio. We invite you to visit the line for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
Tales of Strange Children is a collection of fairy tales and fables written by Edith Eaton, one of the first Asian American women writers from the turn of the 20th century. Edith focused on children who were treasured, lost,
Get away from me! Get away from me!
or misunderstood.
My son, the evil spirit in your sister had almost lost you to me.
The complicated adult world, and much more. Search for Books and Beyond on radio.cgtn.com and all major podcast platforms. Delve into an audio journey which allows the sound to linger around above you for stunning realism. Hey there, global listeners. Get ready for the hottest discussions on the airwaves. Roundtable, your passport to the heart of China's buzzing society. Pressing issues, lifestyle trends, and impactful policies, we're tackling them head on with wit, wisdom, and a whole lot of fun. Discover the real China through the eyes and voices of its people. Gain a unique global perspective on topics that resonate universally. Tune in and turn up the excitement dial on Roundtable as we bridge gaps and break barriers one discussion at a time. Don't just listen. Be